What? Hey, man, you a whole bitch. Catch a nigga like him with that Glock and shoot the whole world. Yo, hey, I made my flow.
What it is, YouTube? It's your boy Tokyo here. Today we are back at it again with another reaction video. Today's video we got I've been watching this dude I think last year, Saga the Youngin. We got this dude. He made some pretty fire animations. I ain't gonna lie, pretty much enjoyed this dude animations a lot. We got Confessions of a Fast Food Employee. Now I used to work fast food, not like probably like the same fast food that he worked at. I worked at Taco Bell for like 6 months. And I know like a couple of experience because I worked like night shift. I worked morning shift like once and never did that shit again. Cause fuck that, I ain't never doing that shit. I never did that shit ever again. I just stuck to the fucking night shift. If y'all hear my chair squeaking, that's my fault. Y'all, this shit is fucking up. But yeah, we about to go ahead and check this shit out. Y'all like these type of videos, or you like these type of not reactions, but you like these type of animation styles, want to watch more of these types for real, because dude is actually pretty, like, he actually got like really good storytelling videos for real. And yeah, y'all see, make sure y'all leave a like, subscribe, and make sure you check out Saga the Youngin in the description down below. And with that being said, we about to go ahead and check it out.
You know, one effect that working at fast food restaurants has had on me is that I now permanently view these establishments very differently. And this has nothing to do with the food itself, because everybody already knows that what you eat at a fast food place is questionable. You know that when you order it. Burger was just infused with GMO super molecules. That's probably how they get it to taste so good though. Matter of fact, hit my burger with another syringe of whatever the good stuff is. But no, what I'm talking about is the type of stuff that goes down in the back in these fast food kitchens that you as the customer never see and never know about. And it's all as a result of some of the absolute
What the fuck? Nigga coughing in the fire?
I think a food handler's card is really just a piece of paper they'll sell to anybody with $10. You hate to see it. Let me give you just one example off the top of my head, which this is an all-time fast food classic. In fact, you've probably been a victim of something like this yourself without even knowing it. So, back in the kitchen, we had these big plastic waste buckets that we would use to throw old food in after it sat out too long. And we had two, one for the chicken and one for the fries.
It's like, okay, my bad for pausing already, but yeah, our experience from fast food is kind of different. So I'm gonna tell y'all what the fuck Dr. Taco Bell did. Like, we have food that's like say we finna close, right? If we have food that's already out, that's like hasn't been served yet, we just go ahead and, like, if I remember, we would just go ahead and like put them in bags, tie them up, and then put them in the freezer for the morning shift to take care of. Like, and I don't know how like they reheat it or whatever. I don't know how they do that shit, but all I know is like they just put that bitch in the freezer, then boom, that's it. I don't know what happens after that, for real.
And these buckets would fill up with waste as the day went on. And the reason we were always wasting so much food was because it could be difficult to perfectly calculate the exact amount of food to cook, and sometimes you would just end up overcooking. And then the biggest amounts of waste would happen when we were in the middle of a rush, you know, customers pouring in, so we're cooking basket after basket to keep up with all the customers, right? But then sometimes these rushes would just suddenly end, get Thanos snapped out of nowhere, it would seem. And we'd be stuck with just mountains of food and not enough customers. And then all this food would just sit out, get all soggy, mushy, start changing colors, and it somehow still looks more appetizing than Arby's. But that's what we had to waste, right? And we'd fill that thing up to the top with decomposing chicken fingers pretty much every day. And that whole thing would end up in the dumpster with the roaches at the end of the night. So one particular night, it's a couple hours before closing, and there's only a couple of us employees left in the restaurant. And I'm not even making people's orders, I'm in the back mopping up the floors. It was my coworker that was on the line making orders, and the manager was away in his office. And when the manager was in his office, that was always a good sign. Manager in the office meant that orders were going out quickly and there were no problems and nothing for them to come out and yell at us about. Because to give you some background, the one thing that everything revolved around at this chicken franchise was the service times. It was all about getting the customers.
Nigga, that's so, bro. Nigga, if for people that worked in fast food, you know, that service time, they do not play about that shit, bro. I remember like what we used to do. We'll make people like either pull forward or back up. You feel me? Like back up, like from the window, so the time can reset. Because I don't like for some reason, like that's just how we did it. I don't know why. Like we used to just cheat like a motherfucker because like it wasn't just like our time for real. It was like time from other Taco Bells that you can see. So we had to beat time like the time from other like Taco Bells in the area from like and we talking about like further like Taco Bells that's like further down like dead ass like on motherfucking like fucking gross back type shit. And that's like pretty far from like the Taco Bell I worked at. You feel me? So nigga, these motherfuckers did not play about these bitches, bro, on some real shit, bro. Every fucking time. I never had like no higher up come in and talk about it because again I worked night shift, so I never really had to bother with these motherfuckers for real. But they would be on ass. They would dead. I remember one time they dead ass called the manager about the fucking time, about the time, bro. And this nigga, bro, she was on everybody ass, bro.
Their food fast within 2 minutes, 3 minutes max from the moment they ordered to the moment they were handed their food at the window. That is
I don't think it was I don't think it was just like mostly from the window. I don't know if it was from the moment they ordered. I don't think, if I remember. I don't think so. Like I said, ours is different. Cause ours like mostly like our time start when they was at the window.
Definitely one thing this franchise took extremely seriously. I mean, let the manager think you weren't breaking the barriers of time and space to crank out orders, and you would just get absolutely reamed over it. I'm talking about verbally berated. Management would be irate, yelling at you, bro, like,
for
real.
Real.
You think this is all a game?
No, they do not play about that shit, bro.
Duty. That was always the classic threat, that you'd get thrown on dish duty, not only for the rest of your current.
I don't give a fuck about dishes. I'd rather do the dishes than do the fucking line, bro. And plus, you can listen to music the whole entire time while you on dishes, while you doing dish duty, and it don't bother you for real. They just don't bother you just by bringing out more fucking dishes to fucking wash.
Shift, but also for all future shifts indefinitely into eternity. And I mean,
shit, give me that shit
you don't want
all
the
day.
customer having to wait too
shit
long for their food, but management would act like they were running a special ops mission or something. I mean, let's not forget this is a $9 fast food meal. So on this night, like I said, I'm mopping up in the back and a customer pulls up to the drive-thru and he orders a 3-piece combo. Simple, basic order, right? Easy enough. So the order comes in and my coworker up front, he starts making the meal, making the toast, getting the fries, and I notice all the way from the back, the customer ordered a 3-piece, but there's only 2 fingers in the chicken holder. We're 1 finger short. I look at the timer for how long until fresh chicken, and a new batch was still 3 minutes away. Then I look at the drive-thru timer, and this car had already been sitting there for 2.5 minutes. So I'm doing the math in my head, and that's a 5.5 minute order. An atrocity right there. Managers are about to be livid. And I guess bro at the order making station, he did the same math because he starts stressing out a little bit. I notice him looking back and forth between the drive-thru timer, the half-made order just sitting there on the counter, and the chicken timer. Keep in mind, the whole time that drive-thru timer just keeps ticking up. 2 minutes and 40 seconds, 2 minutes and 50 seconds. That thing crossed 3 minutes, the screen turned from green to yellow. They color-coded it just to let you know how much you suck at your job. Definitely don't let it get to red. That's once you hit 4 minutes. So out of the corner of my eye, I'm noticing dude getting restless, doing a lot of fidgeting. He starts pacing back and forth. I mean, bro was probably having visions into the future of getting put on permanent dish duty, scrubbing off towers of the slimiest, crustiest of dishes. But my boy was a quick decision maker, and I guess he made up his mind on how he was going to solve this situation, because he walks over to the waste bin, does a quick head swivel side to side, made sure the coast was clear.
Don't tell bro, don't tell me about the dog. Don't tell me he finna take one of the fucking nasty ass chicken fingers out of that shit. Don't tell. Oh my god, this shit is about to.
And then he shrugged his shoulders.
This finna be
reached
bad,
his hand
bro.
into the chicken finger graveyard and plucks a finger off the top. And you can already guess, he walks over to the dude's order, tucks the bad finger all discreetly under the other 2 fresh tenders, covers everything up with a piece of toast, slams the box shut, and promptly rushes it off to the drive-thru window. At which point, it was then bagged up and handed to the customer. He really thought he was slick. And to be honest, he might have been, because the customer drove off and boom, 3 minutes and 18 second service time. Hey, that's solid time right there. See, these were the types of problems he was paid to solve. Mission accomplished. And in that moment, we done turned into a Chum Bucket franchise. And I know that might seem kind of like an extreme thing to do, but look, this is really a no-lose situation if you think about it. Because the employee avoids getting yelled at by the manager doesn't have to explain high times to his boss, so he secured his bonus, and that's one less piece of food that has to be tragically wasted. That's W's all around. Oh, and the customer? He'll probably dip that finger in some sauce or something anyways. I bet he won't even notice. Yeah, he'll probably have some diarrhea or something the next day.
He is gonna have diarrhea like a motherfucker though, I ain't gonna lie. Or throw up. Like one of those. He gonna have, man. And you gonna tell it's that finger too, but shit, ain't sure you can do about it.
But he'll just chalk it up to the whole meal in general. Matter of fact, he'll probably be back next week for more. Repeat customer. But yeah, people were always going to the craziest of lengths to keep the service times low. And it wasn't always grabbing food from the waste bucket. I mean, sometimes it would be the opposite. I would see people undercook the food so it could be ready faster. They would be ripping open half-cooked pieces of chicken like, I mean, it's not that pink, right? What do you think? You think it's good? And then someone else would be like, yeah, close enough. Serve that batch up. I mean, isn't the point of rushing the food out as fast as possible to give the customer the best experience possible? Except, ironically, it would often just end up with them getting a horrible experience. So, task failed successfully, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, nowadays, when I eat fast food, I almost feel better when the food takes a few minutes longer than normal to make, because then I don't have to sit there wondering what type of shenanigans went down that made it possible for my food to be ready in 2.453 seconds. See, at first you think of it as a plus when your order gets called quick, but now that I think about it more, I better not hear my order called while I'm still filling up my drink, while I'm at the napkin station. No, this gotta be at least after I've already...
Unless they already got that shit made already. Then it's like, yeah. It's like, you can see this shit from two ways. For like, you can see it from like how they did it, or you can see it from like how... Like, they already made the food, you feel me? They already made the food, so they're just gonna quickly make it up and then call your number in. There's two ways you can go from that for real. Mostly, I would really just think about it like they just made that shit quick as hell or already had it made, so they just put it in there. You feel me? Like a couple of hours of nuggets just sitting ain't gonna kill you, bro. I ain't gonna lie. It's already in the heat, so it's gonna be fresh regardless.
I've been sitting down in my seat for a little bit. I remember on another occasion that somebody got done dirty, and I would actually prefer the musty chicken finger compared to this. And this time involved their drink, specifically their sweet tea. Now, I usually worked in the kitchen, so I was in the back when this happened, but I heard about the story later that night, and this one was bad. I can't even laugh about this one. Because we had these drink dispensers that we would serve the iced tea from, right? We had like a dozen of them spread all over the restaurant. Some were in the lobby, some were behind the counter, a few at the drive-thru. And we had to clean each one of these containers every single night. Take them all apart, clean all the little pieces, and then put them all back together. It was kind of a headache. So sometimes, to make it easier, instead of cleaning them all after we closed, we would give whoever was on dish duty a head start and take them down maybe an hour or so before we closed. So we would combine what was left in every tea holder from the entire restaurant into a single 5-gallon bucket and serve tea out of that bucket for the rest of the night. So the upside...
That's actually smart. I ain't gonna lie, that's smart as fuck.
Was you got to start on the dishes early, but the downside with the bucket is it was kind of a hassle to use because you had to basically scoop the tea with a separate cup down into the bucket and then pour that cup into the other cup as opposed to just pouring it straight from the dispenser. So on this night, like usual, they had taken down early all of the many tea dispensers and piled them all up at the dish station for whatever lucky individual was on dish to start working on. But I guess
that's too many
getting a lot
for
more
my liking. I ain't
than
gonna
was normal for this late at night, and she got tired of having to scoop cup after cup out of the bucket. So she walked back to the dish station, grabbed one of the tea dispensers from the dish pile, walked it back to the drive-thru, and dumped the 5-gallon bucket back into the dispenser. And the dish guy, he could
You could have did it like that too. You could have just took like had one, just kept one of it, dumped like had. Oh, like that would have been like a lot smarter, just keeping one, and just tearing down the other one and just using that one just for like the rest of the night until y'all close, and then once everything's good, you can just clean that one and then boom, y'all good. Like that would have been a lot smarter than doing the book. That's smart too, but like doing like this is actually kind of look way more smarter.
Just clean that one final tea dispenser at the very end of the night, no problem, right? So like 10 minutes passes by, she's working the drive-thru like normal. She serves a few customers their tea, at which point the dish guy, Michael, leaves his dish station and walks over to the drive-thru. And he's looking at the tea kind of in a confused way, and he's like, wait a minute, that tea dispenser right there, where did you get that from? And she says, oh, I got it from your dish rack. I had brought them all over to you maybe 10 minutes ago, but we got kind of busy, so I just took this one back. And Michael's like, Sarah, please tell me you haven't been serving tea to people out of that tea dispenser. And she's like, yeah, like I just said. I got annoyed having to scoop tea by hand, so I've just been using this for the last 10 minutes. And Michael just starts looking horrified. He looks like he ate one of them rotten chicken fingers. And the reason being, I guess what had happened was when she had originally brought those tea dispensers over to him, he had took it upon himself to spray down the insides of those containers with bleach. Just doused all of them in nothing but raw chlorine bleach. And we would always just soak those tea dispensers with bleach because it helped with getting all the tea stains out. It was a typical thing we would do. And so he soaked them all in bleach like normal and then turned his back on them. Probably started working on other dishes while waiting for the bleach to soak in. But Sarah, she always worked the drive-thru. She had never done dish before. So she wasn't aware that dousing the tea containers with bleach was a standard everyday process. Because here's the thing, when you first spray bleach onto something, it would be kind of bubbly, and you could clearly tell that something was just sprayed all over it. But let 10 minutes go by, and the bubbles would pop, the bleach would run down the sides, and it all just combined with whatever tea was left at the bottom. I don't think she would have been able to tell that there were any chemicals in there at all. So by the time Sarah walked back over, she didn't know anything was wrong.
He didn't notice that she was back there? Damn. Damn.
Michael didn't catch her. He was oblivious. Nobody noticed anything. And so she set up that dispenser, poured the tea bucket into it, where it was combined with who knows how much bleach. Next thing you know, they're serving up industrial grade iced tea, disinfected beverages. So yeah, that was not good. That was definitely not good. But I gotta be honest, things would only go on to get worse. Because if we run down the list of food code violations so far, yeah, you prefer a musty, crusty chicken finger over bleached iced tea. I mean, one is nasty, the other one is just straight up dangerous. But I would also prefer bleached iced tea to the worst abomination.
Nah, fuck that. I'd rather prefer food poisoning than death. I ain't gonna lie. Like food poisoning, you can thug that out for a good hour. Like you gonna be fucked up for like a good hour and a half, but you'll be alive. Then this shit, like what the fuck?
I had ever seen cooked up in that kitchen. I mean, bleached tea is pretty bad, and this one might be even worse. I don't know, they're close. And this one involved a manager too. We'll call him Manager Jim. If you guys remember this guy, the menace of fast food himself. You remember, he was the one that assaulted the homie Nico back when we were still kids in high school. I'll link the video on the end card at the end of the video if you haven't seen it. But yeah, this is that same Jim. What a guy. And another item on the long list of his war crimes was when we accidentally cooked up a toxic abomination of a batch of food one day. An entire batch. And it was an accident, I'll get into it. But then it was Jim that served the whole thing up to a few lucky customers. Yeah, the reign of Jim as assistant manager saw many dark moments. Now, how did we accidentally cook up this toxic abomination in the first place? Well, you see, what had happened was the fryers at this place would get filthy, right? If you drained the oil out of them, all you would see left behind is just a graveyard of gunk and grime, stuff burnt onto the metal, just nasty stuff caked all over the insides. But we had a rotating cleaning schedule where the openers every few mornings would clean 2 fryers. So this would ensure that every fryer would get cleaned out about every week or so. And the way we would clean these, it was a whole project. You would start by scrubbing off as much as you could get by hand. And once you couldn't get any more, you'd fill up the fryer with water to try and boil off the rest of everything else that was stuck on. And stuff would really be stuck on there. This was like when you forget to soak the pan in water after you're done cooking and find it 3 hours later, but times 1,000. And so food and grease would be so burnt on that even the boiling water wasn't enough. So we also had this powdered fryer cleaner. It was basically just a mixture of a ton of chemicals, and you dump that into the boiling water, and that mixture was supposed to be powerful enough to just completely purge the fryer. And it definitely was. Those fryers would come out looking brand new afterwards. But the thing with this fryer cleaner is it was highly toxic. Highly. And because it was so toxic, after you cleaned the fryer of the actual charred food and grease that was in there, you had to clean it again to clear out any toxic residue that might be left.
Y'all niggas are very... I wonder how many people probably died from eating at y'all restaurant, bro. Cause how the fuck do y'all manage to fuck up this amount of times? Y'all serve old ass food, fucking poisonous iced tea, and now y'all about to serve some poisonous ass chicken. Okay.
So you had to basically clean out the cleaner. And that was the most important part of the process. After you boiled that fryer clean using this toxic potion, you drained the mixture out of there, and then you had to make 110% sure to rinse out that fryer very, very well, so that absolutely no residue from the fryer cleaner was left behind. That step was very important. In fact, we would drag in the hose from outside, and you would just blast the fryer with it to make sure every speck of that fryer cleaner gets washed away. And once you were confident you didn't leave behind a single particle of this poison, you could now pour some fresh oil back in the fryer and start cooking again. And here's the thing, is you would immediately know if you left any fryer cleaner behind. Because if you did, as soon as you tried to fry something in there, everything would react and the whole thing would just start foaming up like crazy. You would definitely know. It looked like something that would give you superpowers if you fell into it. Well, one day, we were just about finished up cleaning one of the fryer slots, and we were running a little behind schedule on this day, because we were supposed to be finished with the fryer cleaning in the morning, but it was already lunchtime and we were just now wrapping up. So Jim is already stressed thin, because the lunch rush is coming through, and you're not really supposed to be down a fryer going into the lunch rush. So because of that, we're having trouble keeping up with orders. Tickets are just piling up one after the other. And Jim's yelling at us to hurry up with the cleaning. I mean, this man was always yelling, constantly, and today was no exception. So he's yelling at us to bring the fryer online ASAP. But no worries, right? No worries, because the oil finally finishes heating up. I start dropping chicken into the newly cleaned fryer, right? I'm loading up the fryer with as much as could fit. We have like 25 tickets to make, but it's all good. We've got plenty of food on the way. But then, it's a couple minutes into the chicken cooking, and I'm watching it cook, and I'm seeing a few more bubbles flying out of the oil than normal. And then those few extra bubbles turned into a little bit of frothiness, and then that turned into the whole fryer just overflowing to the brim with foam. I was like, oh nah, it's over. I don't remember whose specific job it was to wash the fryers clean that day, but they for sure messed up. But regardless, here we were. So I had to go personally deliver the bad news to Jim, which I wasn't thrilled about because, like I told the story in an old video, this man has been known to assault his workers before. So I try to lay it down lightly, right? He's busy making orders around the corner or something, and I walk over to him. I'm like, hey Jim, let me show you something real quick. This batch of chicken, the one that was supposed to be ready in a few minutes, yeah, I think we're gonna have to scrap the whole thing. And as I was explaining to him about the toxic oil and all that, Jim starts realizing what had happened. This man's face starts turning red.
Oh shit.
Just like the current color of the service timer, actually. But his stress does make sense. We're low on food, tickets are printing out of the machine non-stop. You know, some construction crew pulls up on their lunch break 10 deep. Things were getting chaotic. And so Jim looks at the fryer, walks over to it, picks up the baskets out of the foaming oil, and threw everything in the trash. Is what I wish I could say happened. But instead, no, how it actually happened, he picks up the chicken, moves it to the empty fryer directly next to it, and he says, alright, there we go, see? It's in clean oil now, I'm sure the batch will be fine. Just avoid that toxic oil until we can clean it out again. Alright, continue work as normal. And my coworker and myself were looking at each other, and my coworker, he was like, wait a minute, what do you mean by that batch will be fine? You're talking about those baskets of chicken right there that have just been marinating in who knows what type of toxicity? Chemicals infused into every fiber of every chicken finger? I mean, that's how cooking stuff in oil works, right? That's crazy. This was too far even for rotten chicken finger guy. Even he's looking around like he can't believe this chicken is anywhere but the dumpster right now.
God,
And then
dude.
there was the additional problem that the oil he had transferred the chicken into, it was clean, but I feel like we now contaminated that oil too, therefore contaminating all future food cooked in both fryers. So we just kept going further and further in the wrong direction. But Jim, he's like, no, we don't have time for any of this, all right? Look right there. That timer is going off. That means the food is ready. Pull that food out. And what Jim says goes, so he saw to it that the chicken finished cooking and then personally served up the entire batch. And I'm talking about the entire batch, bro, not one finger left over. He starts moving in fast motion, making mad platters of this toxic chicken and throwing them up on the completed orders area. And we did this thing at that restaurant where if there were little tiny pieces of chicken that weren't big enough to count as a full finger, we'd throw a couple of those into people's orders for free, and I didn't even see any of those left over. He used up every aspect of that batch. Hey, that rotten chicken is looking like a pretty good alternative right about now. I mean, good thing no customer had to be inconvenienced with an additional 5-minute wait, right? Anything but that. Yeah, those customers ate that chicken and got x-ray vision afterwards.
Dog,
So look,
you
guys,
already
come
served
through.
that shit?
You know, we got chemical infused chicken. You could wash it down with some bleached iced
Yo,
tea.
some real shit, you can get some fucking superpowers off this shit, or death. If you contemplating taking yourself out, you can go right to this restaurant on some real
Fries
shit.
could have been taken from the rotten pile, and it will only take 2 minutes and 30 seconds for us to get all of that to you. I know, it's pretty impressive. And by the way, feel free to leave a tip at the end of your order. It's just gonna ask you one question real quick.
Hell no, I ain't fucking doing that shit. Y'all niggas trying to kill niggas, bro. On some real shit, this nigga, yo, bro. Like, literally, the whole entire video was just a whole crime just committed on days of after days, bro. What the fuck? Anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. This was a wild ass video. I ain't gonna lie. Like, hey, be careful on what restaurants y'all go to, because sometimes they might do some shit like this on some real shit. But anyways, guys, hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, make sure you leave a like, subscribe if you already knew, and make sure you check out Saga the Youngin in the description down below. And with that being said, I'm up out of here. Peace out.